The conversation between Yandy and Mendeecees was honestly one of the most emotional and difficult moments to watch this entire season, because for the first time everything felt completely real. You could immediately tell that the energy between them had shifted and changed in a way that felt final. Instead of the usual arguing or going back and forth, there was this heavy, suffocating sadness hanging over the entire conversation from the very beginning. Yandy made it clear before even sitting down that she was not there to pour her heart out. She said that Mendeecees told her he wanted to talk, but she honestly did not even feel like talking anymore. She felt like there was nothing more to say, that she had no words left for the way he acted on that camping trip, and that he was not going to get the pleasure of hearing anything more from her. So she made the decision to simply show up and try her best to listen, nothing more. When they finally came face to face, Mendeecees opened up in a way that felt long overdue. He admitted that his emotions were all over the place on the camping trip. He said it hurt his feelings deeply to see that he and Yandy were at odds, because for 20 years she had been his best friend. He expressed that he was hoping they could find a way to move forward, and if not for themselves, then at least for their children. What we just watched between Yandy and Mendeecees was not just a scene from a television show. It was a mirror. It was a reflection of something that happens in real relationships every single day, behind closed doors, away from cameras, away from commentary, away from everyone watching. Two people who genuinely love each other, sitting across from one another, realizing that love alone was never going to be enough to save what they built. And if that does not make you stop and think about your own life, your own relationships and your own patterns, then you may need to watch it again. Because here is the truth that this conversation put on full display. Most relationships do not fall apart because people stop loving each other. They fall apart because people stop showing up for each other in the ways that actually matter. They fall apart because pride becomes louder than communication, because hurt gets buried instead of healed, because people wait until the damage is already done before they finally decide to be vulnerable, to be honest, and to be the version of themselves that their partner needed all along. Mendeecees sat across from Yandy and said every single thing that she had likely been waiting to hear for years. He was sweet. He was open. He was vulnerable in a way that felt completely genuine. And instead of that saving them, it may have only confirmed to her how unnecessary all of the pain truly was. That is perhaps the most devastating part of everything. Not that the love was gone, but that the right version of him showed up after she had already run out of the strength to meet him there. So the call to action is this: do not wait. Whatever relationship you are in right now, whether it is a marriage, a partnership, a friendship, or a family bond that has been strained by silence and unspoken hurt, do not wait until the other person is sitting across from you with nothing left in their eyes. Do not wait until you are the one realizing too late that your pride cost you the most important person in your world. The time to show up is not when everything is falling apart. The time to show up is right now, while there is still something to hold on to. Have the conversation you have been putting off. Say the words you have been swallowing because your ego told you that saying them made you weak. Go first. Apologize without conditions attached to it. Listen without preparing your defense while the other person is still speaking. Choose the relationship over being right. Choose the person over the argument. Choose love over the version of yourself that is too proud to admit when you have caused someone pain. Because what Yandy showed us in that scene is something that rarely gets talked about enough. There is a point that people reach after carrying too much for too long where they do not become cold or hateful. They simply become quiet. They stop fighting not because they gave up, but because they finally made peace with letting go. And once someone reaches that place, it is one of the hardest places in the world to pull them back from. Not because the love disappeared, but because the exhaustion became bigger than the hope. Do not let the person you love reach that place, because you refused to meet them before they got there. And as a final thought on everything this season has shown us through Yandy and Mendeecees, what their story ultimately represents is a reminder of how fragile even the strongest bonds can become when they are not consistently protected, nurtured, and chosen. 20 years of friendship, years of love, family, and shared history. And it still was not immune to the slow erosion that comes from unaddressed hurt, miscommunication, and the kind of emotional distance that builds so gradually, you almost do not notice it until it is too wide to cross. Their story is not just entertainment. It is a lesson. It is a reminder that the people who matter most to you deserve your best effort while they are still there, not your greatest regret after they are gone. So if this video moved you, if it made you think about someone in your life, or if it made you reflect on something within yourself, let that feeling mean something. Let it push you toward a conversation, an apology, a moment of vulnerability that you have been avoiding. Because the worst thing that could come from watching two people lose each other is walking away and doing absolutely nothing differently in your own life. Do not let that be you. Go love your people, and go love them right now. He acknowledged that it had been an incredibly rough year for both of them. He said he was still shocked, even to that day, by the way things had turned out between them. He explained that everything he had been doing was leading toward them being together. He brought up the emotional attachment she had with someone else and admitted that he did not know how to process it. His pride got in the way, he acted out, and he said he regretted it deeply. Yandy sat with his words for a moment before responding. She told him that it was strange, because if he had just said those exact words 7 months earlier, he would still have been in the house. She made it clear that no emotional connection compares to the one she has with him and their family, but that she had felt unchosen. She felt like he had picked someone else over her, that she had been made to feel like less, like she was not enough. The hurt and the anger she carried from that had clearly never fully healed. Then came one of the most painful moments of the entire scene. She looked at him and said she had to let him be. She told him that what she saw sitting in front of her was the man she fell in love with, sweet, kind, and vulnerable, and she asked where that person had been all this time. Mendeecees broke down and said that leaving her felt like leaving his children too. He described it as the hardest thing he had ever had to do in his life. He said he does not even see his kids anymore, and the weight of that reality seemed to crush him in real time as he said it. He reflected on where they started. He reminded her that they were friends before they became anything else. They fell in love, and then somewhere along the way, the respect was lost. He struggled to understand how two people who love each other could end up in a place where the woman he loves more than anyone on this earth had become someone who felt like his enemy. He admitted that he did not know how to deal with his hurt, and that she did not know how to deal with hers, and that neither of them could seem to stop hurting each other despite everything they felt. Yandy responded quietly. She said she did not know. She said she just really wished they were not in this place. And then through everything, through all of it, she told him she still loved him. What made the scene even harder to watch was the shift in Mendeecees as the conversation continued. He began to look like a man who was finally realizing, perhaps for the very first time, that Yandy may truly be done. That realization seemed to hit him in a way that visibly shook him. And what made it even sadder was that Yandy no longer looked like someone who was fighting to hold the relationship together. She looked exhausted. She looked hurt. She looked emotionally detached in a way that felt permanent rather than temporary. After everything they have been through together over the years, it feels like she has finally arrived at the point where she simply has nothing left to give. At the same time, Mendeecees appeared genuinely emotional throughout the conversation, almost as if he was finally grasping the full weight of how much pain and disappointment had been quietly building up inside the relationship over all this time. The tragedy in that is that sometimes people do not fully realize what they have until things have already completely fallen apart. One of the most striking things about this scene was how emotionally distant Yandy seemed compared to who she used to be in these moments. There was no warmth coming from her. There was no excitement, no reaching, and barely any visible reaction. Instead, she came across as someone who had already mentally accepted, somewhere deep inside, that this relationship may never return to what it once was. After nearly 2 decades together, through multiple ups and downs, public drama, and years of loyalty and sacrifice, watching things possibly come to an end, this wave feels incredibly heavy to witness. Relationships that have survived that much shared history usually feel impossible to break. But this conversation proved that even the deepest love can eventually wear itself down after enough repeated hurt and disappointment. By the time the scene came to a close, it honestly felt like Mendeecees was desperately trying to hold on to something that Yandy may have already emotionally released and let go of a very long time ago.